talking for a while. All right. As I mentioned, there's certain things that absolutely must be done for this to be considered a proper furnace night. Can you all hear me up there at the top? There, you can. Okay. You know what I look like, so just go ahead and keep eating. You don't need to turn around unless you want to. You know, it's up to you. But one of the things that absolutely must be accounted for is called the immortal memory. The immortal memory of Robbie Burns. And this is a short talk about things that are more or less supposed to be true about Robbie Burns. Might be, might not. And some of them are, anyway, we'll just get on with it the way I'm doing. This one, there'll be some music. And I'm going to start with a song, the words of which you're going to recognize, perhaps. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind, should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne. You did recognize the words, didn't you? But I bet you didn't recognize the melody, did you? No. Well, the interesting thing about this is Robbie didn't write that song. He found the words. But that melody that I just sang for you was actually the first melody, the one that he wanted to have. But his publicist talked him into scrapping that particular melody in favor of the one that you know and that we're going to sing at the end of the evening. And if you don't know the words, well, we'll give you alternate words later. Anyway, that's one of the most famous songs of our time. Wouldn't you agree with that? But Auld Lang Syne, it was actually composed in 1568, almost 200 years before Robbie was born. Now, Robbie was born on January 25th, 1759, which makes him 264 years old today. He was a friend to ministers as well as miscreants, to publicans as well as priests. He was very much a saint. He was also very much a sinner. So, buckle up. Robbie first committed the sin of rhyme, as he called it, in 1774, writing Handsome Nell for Nellie Kilpatrick, a farmer's daughter. And this is the poem. Once I loved a bonny lass, aye, and I love her still. And while there's virtue in my heart, I love my handsome Nell. As bonny lass I hae seen, and money full as braw, but for a modest, graceful mien, the like I never saw. A bonny lass, I will confess, is pleasant to the ee, but without some better qualities, she's no alas for me. But Nellie's looks are blithe and sweet, and what is best of all, her reputation is complete, and fair without a flaw. She dresses, aye, say clean and neat, both decent and genteel, and then there's something in her gait, gars only dress look well. A gaudy dress and gentle air may slightly touch the heart, but it's innocence and modesty that polishes the dart. This isn't in Nellie pleases me, till this enchants my soul, for absolutely in my breast she reigns without control. Now, I have to say that knowing what I know about Robbie Burns, a lot of that went by the wayside as his life progressed. By the age of 18, this farmer, son of a farmer, had read the complete works of William Shakespeare, in addition to studying Latin, French, physics, mathematics, and grammar. In fact, it's truly amazing that in addition to his studies, his work as principal laborer on his father's farm and time devoted to the composition of his music and poetry, he nevertheless found time, by the age of 18, to have amorous soirees with at least 5 different lassies. I hadn't written nearly as much music by the time I was 18. In fact, one tends to lose count rather quickly of the number of ladies under whose spell Burns fell victim, much less the number of ladies whose spell fell under his. Beneath the moon's unclouded light, I held a while to Annie. Oh, Tibby, I hae seen the day you wouldn't have been sae shy. But in the presence of lovely young Jessie, unseen is the lily, unheeded the rose. Jean, Ellison, Nanny, Anna, a second Tibby, Sophie, Jenny, Bessie, Maria, Polly, Betty, Eliza, 2 different Eppies, Phoebe, Leslie, Phyllis, Mary, Nancy, Clorinda, Agnes, and Cloris. All subject of his poetry are not merely names from Robbie's imagination. And he only lived to age 37. Maybe that's why. A country western song of several years ago, if you can't be with the one you love, love the one you're with, could easily have been written about Robbie. He had the soft heart of a true romantic, which, if that doesn't excuse him, at least explains him. Though he loved them all, enough to marry several of them, never more than one at a time, he had no illusions about the institution of marriage. Cursed be the man, the poorest wretch in life, the crouching vassal to a tyrant wife, who has no will but by her high permission, who has not sixpence but in her possession, who must to her his dear friend's secrets tell, who dreads a curtain lecture worse than hell. Were such the wife had fallen to my part, I'd break her spirit or I'd break her heart. I'd charm her with the magic of a switch. I'd kiss her maids and kick the perverse witch. Now, isn't it fortunate that witch rhymes with switch? And makes sense in the context of the poem, because Robbie used a word that didn't, a different word that rhymes with switch. And incidentally, if you ever have the opportunity to read any of Robbie's bawdy poetry, don't. It would make Madonna blush. Well, maybe not Madonna. But we know what he thought of the fairer sex. How about his fellow Scot? Using his own words from a letter to his friend, the Earl of Eglinton, there is scarcely anything to which I am so feelingly alive as the honour and welfare of old Scotia. And as a poet, I have no higher enjoyment than singing her sons and daughters. Now, bagpipers the world over learn and eventually grow to detest the first tune in the College of Piping Tutor Part 1, Scots Wha Hae, which carries with it the daunting admonition from Seamus McNeill: if you can't sing Scots Wha Hae, you should not be learning the pipes. This song, written by Burns, commemorates the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314, when Robert the Bruce led his army of Scots against an overwhelmingly superior force of, I hate to use the word, but English. Under the command, don't worry, I'll be over later, King Edward of England, and sent him back home for 700 years of peace, with a short 250-year adjournment from 1709 to about 2001. Anyway, I'm going to bring my son Sean, who piped earlier for you, and he is going to bring a very strange instrument. This is not a bagpipe at all. Yes. Sean is going to give you a brief rundown on what this particular instrument is.
So this is called an auto harp, and it's an Appalachian instrument. I had never heard of it until a couple of years ago. I was up very late, about 3 in the morning, watching funny videos on YouTube, and I was on a bit of a Billy Connolly kick, and I knew I had to get up 3 hours later to help the gentleman and his wife move house. So I thought to myself, all right, I'll watch one more video and then I'll go to sleep. So I clicked on a video of him holding a very strange looking instrument, and he played a beautiful song. It was at the end of one of his shows. He says, this is not a joke, this is just me trying to return you all to the state of normalcy that you were when you first came in here. And after it's done, don't wait for the punchline that doesn't come. And I was sat mesmerized because it was such a beautiful sound. I'd never seen this instrument. I was in the middle of a degree for music education and I'd never seen this instrument before. So I watched the video about another half a dozen times because I said that I would only watch one more video. I didn't say I would only watch it one time. 3 hours later, I was at the gentleman's house and we're going through, and he was showing me everything that needed to be moved into the Hyeholde and everything like that. And got partway through the kitchen, he looked at me and said, "You like kind of strange instruments, don't you?" And that's usually a setup for something that's unkind toward the bagpipe. But I thought I'd give him the benefit of the doubt. I said, well, I think there's a place for all of God's instruments in the world, you know? And he said, would you like an auto harp? And I said, yes, what is an auto harp? And he gave me an auto harp for helping me move. Now, this is not that one. I found this one just a couple of months ago, and it's quickly grown on me because it has fancier buttons than the other one. But the other one served me well for a couple of years. And I'm happy to be able to play this one for you now. So we're going to play Scots Hyeholde, right?
Yes, this is Scots Hyeholde, or Bruce's address to his troops at Bannockburn. How many of you have seen the movie Braveheart? All right. Well, I'm not. If you haven't seen it, I'm not spoiling the movie. This is actually historical. In 1314, Robert the Bruce was supposed to kowtow to the Englishmen once more, and he decided, no, I'm not going to do that. But before he did, he addressed his troops. And this is what Robbie Burns thought he said, set to music. Thank you, that'd be very kind.
Scots wha hae wi' Wallace bled, Scots wham Bruce has often led, welcome tae your gory bed, or tae victory. Now's the day and now's the hour, see the front of battle lower, see approach proud Edward's power, chains and slavery. Wha would be a traitor knave? Wha would fill a coward's grave? Wha say base as be a slave? Let him turn and flee. Wha for Scotland's king and law, freedom's sword would strongly draw. Freemen stand or freemen fall, let him on willie. By oppression's woes and pains, by our sons in servile chains, we shall drain our dearest veins, but they shall be free. Lay the proud usurper low, tyrants fall with every foe, liberties in every blow, let us do or be. Scots wha hae wi' Wallace bled, Scots wham Bruce has often led, welcome tae your gory bed, or tae victory.
On a personal note, when I sing that song, and I think, by your sons in servile chains, it's difficult enough for me to get through that without choking up. But when I'm standing beside my son, I think freedom is a really good thing. So Robbie was a Scottish patriot through and through, and I think it's safe to say he would have voted yes for Scottish independence. Yeah, yes. Finally, but don't, if you go to Scotland, don't bring it up. Finally, we come to God. Though at one point accused of heresy, Robbie nevertheless loved God in his own way. He once wrote, "Christ will bring us all through various ways and by various means to bliss at last." And if we have any Presbyterian preachers in the house, that may have been part of the heresy that he just committed there. Though he loved God, admittedly he did have a hard time with the church, and vice versa. And because I've been asked to keep this relatively short, those are different stories for different days. Anyway, Robbie loved man, he loved God, but I think, although he was far from perfect, he saw the good in all men. And I'm going to leave you with this, that the true greatness of this man is not that he could also see man and life through the eyes of a mouse, but that he could identify with the mouse. So this is to a mouse on turning her up in her with his plow. "Wee, sleek, cowering, timorous beastie, oh, what a panic's in thy breastie. Thou needna start away so hasty with bicker and battle. I would be laith to run and chase thee with murder and pattle. I'm truly sorry man's dominion has broken nature's social union, and justifies that ill opinion which makes thee startle at me, thy poor earth-born companion and fellow mortal. Thy wee bit housey too in ruin, its silly walls the winds are strewing, and nothing new to big anew in a forage green, and bleak December's winds ensuing, baith snell and keen. But mousie, thou art know thy lane in proving foresight may be vain. The best laid schemes o' mice and men gang after glee, and leest naught but grief and pain for promised joy. Still thou art blessed compared with me, the present only toucheth thee. But I backward cast my eye on prospects drear, and forward, though I cannot see, I guess and fear." So there you have it. Would you now raise your glasses and toast with me the immortal memory of Robbie Burns. Robbie Burns. Thank you very much. We'll be back in after a while.